Hi, movie recapped here. Today I will show you a romantic, dramatic true story film from 1971, titled, Lolita. A 50-year-old man falls in love with a 12-year-old girl. And the man married his mother to get the girl. End. The story of this movie is about how he will keep that girl to himself. The story of this movie is based on true events. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. Of the movie we see Professor Humbert. That was driving in a senseless state. And there was blood on his body. Then he tells us Lolita is my life. I love Lolita the most. And with that, Professor Humbert tells the story of his life. Then we see the year 1921, where Humbert is 14 years old, and he falls in love with a 12-year-old girl, Annabelle. And they were continuing their relationship. But suddenly Annabelle died of a bad disease. Humbert suffered greatly after Annabelle left. He tells us that since Annabelle left, she couldn't love any more girls. Then many years later events are shown. Now Humbert has become a professor, and his age is close to 50, and he is posting in a new town. And he has to write a book about his culture. Humbert had a lot of time before joining the new job. So Humbert will write this book at that time. So he went to his uncle's house in a small town. He wrote the book. When his uncle arrives to pick up Humbert from the station, his uncle's house catches fire. When Humbert reached home, he saw that his uncle's house was on fire. So her uncle, Humbert, arranges for her to stay at a friend's house. Her friend died long ago in that house. So his wife and his daughter stay at home. His wife's name was Haze. Haze likes to see Humbert at first. Haze then shows Humbert his own room. Humbert did not like the condition of the room at that time. And Haze can understand that. Then Haze tells Humbert to show you a place, and to see that place you decide whether to stay here or not. Haze then takes Humbert to his garden. While there, Humbert sees Haze's daughter Lolita. And the first time I saw Lolita, I remembered Humbert Annabelle. Annabelle was 12 at the time. And Lolita is 12 years old, so Humbert fell in love with her when he saw her for the first time. And just to be with Lolita, Humbert agrees to stay home. When Humbert was working, he always looked at Lolita. And when he saw Lolita, he would write down all her feelings in a diary. Lolita's room was in front of Humbert's room, and that's why they talked. One day Humbert was working on his book, when Lolita came to Humbert's room and told him I could not sleep at night. Is that so with you? Then Humbert says yes, I can't sleep properly either. Then Lolita sits on Humbert's lap, and tells Humbert if I have a pimple on my cheek. Then Humbert says, you look so beautiful. Haze then calls Lolita, then Lolita leaves Humbert's room. Then one day Humbert, Lolita and Haze were sitting on a swing, and Lolita was next to Humbert. Then Haze goes to the room because he has finished his drink. And then Lolita says to Humbert, my mother likes you, so you tell her we'll go to the lake. Then when Haze comes back, Lolita gets bored, she goes to the room and sings and dances. After Lolita left the room, Os tried to talk to Humbert, but Humbert had no interest in Os. He was trying to watch Lolita dance inside the room. Then we see the three of them go to the lake. That day Os was trying to be romantic with Humbert. Os tells Humbert about his future, and he says he will send Lolita to boarding soon. And in his next scene we see Lolita getting in the car to go boarding. Then Lolita sees Humbert in the window, she runs to her room, he went there and hugged and kissed Humbert. Then after Lolita leaves, Humbert comes to her room, and when she arrives, she shows off Lolita's clothes. Os then gives Humbert a letter, in which he proposes marriage to Os. Humbert. He further added that if he did not agree to the proposal, he should leave the house. Because if he sees Humbert in front of his eyes, he will suffer more. Humbert marries Haze a few days later, because Humbert says that if he had not married Haze, he would never have seen Lolita. One day when Humbert was writing a book, Haze went to him. And he sees a locked drawer. Haze then asked Humbert if he had anything personal about it. Then we see Humbert mixing sleeping pills at dinner every night. So Haze fell asleep early after dinner, because Haze wanted to be intimate with Humbert, and Humbert didn't like that at all. One day, Humbert goes out to work, and when he returns home, Haze is sitting and crying. Humbert then sees Haze break his drawer and pull out the diary. And in that diary, Humbert would write about Lolita. Haze gets very angry with Humbert and says, "Take this house with you, but divorce me instead." Humbert didn't understand then, so let's say we don't have a drink now, and then I'll explain everything to you. When Humbert goes to get a drink, a phone call comes in telling Humbert that his wife has died in an accident. Then Humbert went out and saw that Haze was going to post some letters. And then he died in an accident. Humbert came home with the letters and burned them. Humbert is very happy in his mind, because there was only a hedge between him and Lolita. And now there is no one among them. Humbert then comes to pick up Lolita. And Lolita is very happy too. See Humbert. Later, as they were driving, Lolita asked Humbert about her mother and Humbert said Hans was very ill, so she couldn't come. Lolita then tells Humbert that we've been in the car for so long, but we haven't kissed anyone yet. Then Humbert drove the car to a place, and then Lolita kissed Humbert. Then a policeman comes in search of the thief, and when he sees Lolita in Humbert's lap, the policeman leaves. Then Humbert comes to a hotel with Lolita and they book a room. In the hotel lobby, Lolita sees a dog and starts playing with it. Then the dog owner tells Lolita that my dog doesn't like anyone much, but he likes you. Humbert then goes to that room with Lolita. Then Lolita says, "Do we both sleep in the same bed?" Then Humbert tells Lolita we don't have enough money to book 2 rooms. Then Lolita and Humbert come to have dinner together. Then Lolita sees who owns the dog, and Humbert says she's a great writer, and Lolita loves the writer. Then Humbert and Lolita come into that room. Humbert then tells Lolita to rest in the room, and comes out. Humbert was met outside the hotel by a writer named Coyle. The two of them were discussing about the hotel. And it seemed to Humbert that Coyle was always talking about Lolita, and that's why Humbert came into the room scared. Because Humbert was always in fear, because he always thought that no one should know about his relationship with Lolita. Then Humbert came into the room and lay down next to Lolita. Lolita wakes up in the morning and kisses Humbert, and they become intimate. After that they both got out of the car again. At one point on the street, Lolita tells Humbert to stop because she wanted to call her mother. Humbert tells Lolita the truth. Lolita cried a lot that night, and was very angry with Humbert. But then Lolita came to Humbert, hugged him and cried. Then Humbert told us Lolita forgave me. Because he had no one but his mother. Now that his mother was dead, he had no choice but to forgive her. Then it is shown that they are both traveling in a car. Because Humbert wanted to travel around the country with Lolita. That is why they used to travel to different cities. And in many hotels, stayed the night. Lolita used to irritate Humbert a lot while traveling, and Humbert tolerated and enjoyed it. Because Lolita liked all this Humbert. After a long hiatus, Humbert's vacation was over. Humbert later moved Lolita to the city where he got the job. Humbert later admitted Lolita to a school in that city. Everyone there used to support Lolita. After spending some time like this, Lolita tells Humbert one day that she wants to participate in their school play. Humbert is afraid that if Lolita joins a boy, she will no longer like Humbert. Thinking this, Humbert told him not to. Then Lolita persuaded Humbert in various ways. Then one day Lolita's piano teacher's phone rang, telling her piano teacher Humbert that Lolita had missed 2 classes. Humbert then asks Lolita how her piano class is going. And then Lolita lies to Humbert that she's getting better. And then Humbert gets angry at Lolita and says, "Where are you going to miss the piano class?" Then Lolita says, "I am missing class for school play." Humbert then calls his friend to see if Lolita is telling the truth, and her friend says the same thing. Seeing this, Lolita gets very angry with Humbert. And there is a lot of fighting between them. And Lolita then gets angry at Humbert. And leaves the house in the rain. Humbert then searches for Lolita throughout the city. Humbert then sees Lolita in a cafe, and then Lolita Humbert says, "I decided to go around town with you." And Humbert is very happy to hear that. Because Humbert thought Lolita might be moving away from him. Then we see again they both drove away. Thus again they both started traveling. One day Humbert realizes that someone is following their car. He then tells Lolita to note down the car number. Later they stopped at a petrol pump. Then when Humbert gets out of the car, he sees Humbert and Lolita talking to a man. And seeing that, Humbert ran and came there. But then, the man left. Then he asked Lolita what the man was saying to you. Then Lolita says she asked me for direction. Then one day Humbert noticed that someone was following their car. Humbert then stopped the car and went to the front of the car. But when he saw Humbert, the car drove away. Then Humbert asks Lolita for the note number. But Lolita then ruined that number. And for this Humbert got angry with Lolita and said a lot. And then Lolita got out of the car. Humbert then apologizes to Lolita, explains and brings her to the car. Then the two of them came back to a hotel. Humbert then leaves Lolita in a hotel room and goes outside for a while. And when he came back from outside, he saw that Lolita had gone somewhere. Then Humbert gets very angry at Lolita and says, "Who did you meet secretly?" Then Lolita doesn't say anything to Humbert. Humbert then tells Lolita that he always gives some money to spend. Lolita saves this money. Then Humbert says, "What will you do with this money?" Lolita does not answer this question either. And for this Humbert gets very angry with Lolita. And at night they become intimate again. That night Humbert was very scared, thinking that his relationship with Lolita might break up this time. And maybe everyone knows about them. Later that night, Humbert went on a trip with Lolita. Seeing Humbert, Lolita's body got very bad on the road. And that's why he was taken to the hospital. The doctor at the hospital said that Lolita would have to stay under observation at the hospital one day. And with that, Dr. Humbert is told to leave the hospital. When Humbert called the hospital the next morning to find out about Lolita, he told her from the hospital reception that Lolita had been released by her uncle. Upon hearing this, Humbert immediately went to the hospital. And then he thinks the man who was following them may have taken Lolita out of the hospital. That's how the hospital staff got involved with the man. And that's why he fights with the people in the hospital. After that Humbert finds Lolita in many places. The man had a sign when he was released from the hospital, and seeing that sign, Humbert went to many hotels, and then he looked at the receptionist's book and found out which hotel the man was in with Lolita. Humbert then says he has been looking for Lolita for 2 months, but he still can't find her. After that we see what happened 3 years later in the movie. One day Humbert receives a letter from Lolita. And she wrote in the letter she married a boy. And now she is pregnant. And he needs some money. Lolita also wrote the current address in her letter. Humbert then reads the letter and goes to Lolita's house with a gun. Humbert arrives at Lolita's house and finds her pregnant. And she is surprised to see him. Then Humbert sees Lolita's husband. Then he noticed that the man who was following the car was not this man. Humbert then asks Lolita who she ran away with that day. Then Lolita talks about the quail. Because Lolita had escaped from the hospital with the quail. Because Lolita liked the quail a little from the beginning. But after staying with the quail, Lolita realizes that the quail is not sexually active. He makes various videos with little girls. And when he found out, he ran away. And after her fall, she met her husband. And they get married. After hearing all this, Humbert says to Lolita, "I will give you the money I am giving you, and after that are you willing to go with me? I will give you all the happiness." Then Lolita tells Humbert, "I never liked you. I was with you because I had no option." Humbert is very upset and cries. And he gave Lolita much more money than he had demanded from Humbert. And she left without meeting Lolita's husband. Then we see Humbert in his car covered in blood. Then she says no matter what happens to Lolita, I will love her for the rest of my life. And I'm really ashamed of what I did to Lolita. But after meeting Lolita, I am no longer ashamed. Then again we see Humbert go to Coyle's house, where Humbert points the gun and asks Coyle why he did this to her. At first the Quail pretended not to know him. But then Humbert fired. Then the Quail was scared. And said, "You are not that stepfather." Humbert then tells Coyle why he ran away from the hospital with Lolita that day. Coyle says he doesn't like you, he ran away with me. But I didn't do anything wrong with him. Because I don't have the ability to do bad things with girls. Coyle then says to Humbert, "You're not a good person either, because you kept your stepdaughter for your own good." Humbert fired a shot at the Quail. And the Quail died there. And from the very beginning, the blood that we see on Humbert's body in the movie was actually Quilt's blood. And then we see there are a lot of police behind Humbert's car, and after a while the police catch Humbert. And then Humbert comes to a stop, and gets out of the car and sees a small village on top of the hill. Then Humbert tells us that he can't hear Lolita's voice from there. So he doesn't like this place anymore. After that, the police catch Humbert. Humbert later became very ill in prison, and he died in prison in 1950. On the other hand, Lolita also died in 1950 while giving birth to a child. This movie ends here. And the story of the whole movie is taken from a true story. Watch more explanations of these kinds of movies, click on the videos on your screen, and don't forget to let me know how you feel about today's video in the comments down below, and at last I will say, stay safe, and stay well. Thank you so much for watching the video with your precious time.